Blame Canada.
Yeah, it's pretty gay.
Breaking. You are joining Unrelenting 147 already in progress. I'm Darren O'Neill. He is Gene Nevtuliev. He has boots on the ground. At least that is what No Agenda said.
Boots on the ground?
Yeah, you're their Russian boots on the ground. Although he also said you were in your underwear watching RT was basically what your boots on the ground meant. And then
he may not be wrong.
And then they went on to say, and JCD's like, you won't find this kind of analysis in any other podcast. I'm like, yeah, except Gene's actual podcast. Where
true story.
You might get a little more in-depth information on the Gene show. JCD's just like, nobody listens to that.
Well, he's right.
The Russian stuff, very interesting news today is that Trump and Vlad have talked.
Mm-hmm. And
everything is going in the direction that was expected. Is there anything that we're missing on the mainstream coverage here? What is your take on this?
I don't know. I haven't been watching mainstream coverage, so I don't know what's there. I can tell you that listening to Putin's interview about this, the first thing he said is that Trump's doing a great job, the greatest. And then after that, he said that in principle, Russia definitely wants to have a ceasefire. But then he went on to explain why that ceasefire right now makes little sense. And the reason being that there are two different cauldrons that are ready to collapse with something like 80,000 Ukrainian soldiers that will end up being prisoners of war. And that... the last time, well, there's a few things. One of them is that if they do a ceasefire right now, that ceasefire, as was presented to him, does not halt the supplying of weaponry and ammunition and volunteer troops from Europe or the U.S. So essentially, it's a 30-day of we won't shoot bullets, but we're just going to reinforce and resupply.
Right, which is what happened the last time. Like, oh, no.
Right, and that kind of goes back to the last time that there was a longer ceasefire. It actually came out from an interview with Angela Merkel, who in the interview said that the strategy all along for Europe, for the ceasefire, being the guarantors of the ceasefire, was to give Ukraine enough time to be able to receive all the ammunition and weaponry from Europe before Russia attacks.
Right. So it's basically like Ukraine's your little brother. He punches you and then runs away and calls for a ceasefire.
Right. Exactly.
While picking up rocks. So
Right. Well, not just picking up rocks, but while having other friends go around collecting rocks and bringing them to him.
True.
Yeah. So he's not as keen on this. You know, he likes the idea in principle, but it's like that it can't be a 30-day Russia don't shoot while we resupply Ukraine. That's no interest in that, because Russia doesn't need a 30-day pause in order to resupply.
No, I mean, they've got,
and they contrary to the 3 years of Russia losing, that's been reported over here by countless people being interviewed, all these, former generals and everybody else. Oh yeah, Russia is on the brink of losing. They're out of food, they're out of troops, they're out of men, they're out of bullets, they're out of drones, they're out of everything.
North Korea, there's
they're exactly. It's like they're so out of people they have to bring in people from North Korea. The funny thing about the North Korean is there was one video which was of them training in Russia, and that's it. There's never been a single video from Ukraine showing, oh, look at these Korean POWs we found. Literally,
that's interesting.
Zero actual video proof from anybody of any country showing that North Koreans are getting killed or captured.
Right, and that is
except
also,
for I think Zelensky did say that they killed all the North Koreans in one day.
well, this was something that my buddy Larry asked over on Planet Rage. And Larry sent me a nice gift basket for my
podcast show.
Right. He sent me a nice gift basket for our wedding anniversary yesterday.
That's nice of him.
You got to catch up. Gene, where's Gene's big basket? It was probably a virtual spaceship, and I just missed it. But he's like,
I named the space station after your wife. That should be enough.
Oh, well, that is a beautiful, beautiful thing to do.
Yeah.
But he was like, where's all the video of this? He's like, hey, I lived through, seeing the earlier wars, and you always saw news coverage of body bags.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing it. The podfather, Adam Curry, responded back with the only place he has seen it was on Telegram. You're not seeing it on the mainstream media.
The problem with Telegram,
right? You can't believe anything.
Well, there's plenty of stuff on Telegram, right? But the problem with Telegram is nothing is authenticated and mostly can't be. And so you have a mix of Syria videos, Lebanon videos, Iraq videos with Americans attacking, and it's all thrown in together, and they're both sides use the same damn videos as though it's on their side.
Right.
You literally will have a video from the 2000s of U.S. occupying a city in Iraq being shown as Russians killing Ukrainians, and then on a different channel, Ukrainians killing Russians. I was like, no, it's Americans killing Middle Eastern, the Iraqis in the Middle East, but it's all presented as proof.
Right. Which means, again, goes towards my theory is you can't believe anything you see here or see, on the
only thing you got to believe is if you have a security clearance for any of these countries and have access to raw satellite data. And there's a few YouTube channels out there that are showing satellite data that's been cleansed, but at least that is how we know what the actual front is doing. But we're not seeing body bags anywhere.
No, and this is because it would appear that the left, even though they've been anti-war for my whole lifetime, it seems all of a sudden like this war.
Pro-war, production of war equipment, pro-drafting people party ever existed.
Got to keep it going. Can't just give Ukraine away. It's like, well, what price are you willing to pay?
Well, any price. We'll fight till the last Ukrainian, as was said.
That would be is what the left is saying right now.
Well, it doesn't matter because apparently it's not the Ukrainians that we care about. It's the minerals underneath.
Now, it's only funny because the Saddam thing, which is what we break down the Iraqi war to, the Saddam thing. Everybody said, well, we're only going in to get oil. We're only going in to get the oil.
Turns out that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, nobody for once said we're going into Ukraine to get the minerals. How do we miss that?
No. But also, we had to fight to prevent Russia from fighting the biological weapons factories.
Oh, right, because those weren't all in Ukraine to begin with.
Well, and as we did find out, if you watch some of the people that are really trying to screw with Fauci. His name was all over that as well. I mean, Fauci, and I've been calling him Mengele for years now, because he kind of looks like Mengele, frankly. But it's obvious that he was the guy in charge of the U.S. illegal biological weapons program, which is why he got a lifetime pardon for all war crimes ever committed.
Yeah, but is the pardon actually good if it was auto-penned?
Apparently, yes.
Is that what the legal experts are saying?
Yeah. They're saying that auto-pen usage goes back to Nixon.
It does, but not on vital documents and not at the percentage that we're seeing. It's not like, Biden used the auto-pen on 20, 30, 40% of the documents. One of the things I read...
No, he used them on all documents except for one.
Right.
Which really is an argument for the auto pen, saying effectively that was his signature.
But then why did he not use it on his "I'm withdrawing from the race." Very weird.
I think because that was done by a gun held to his head and a piece of paper in front of him.
You know, the interesting thing would be people out would be Jill would be the one holding the gun, I think.
I don't know. Jill kind of wanted to be president, so I'm not sure if Jill would be the one.
I mean, we had the House Speaker Johnson.
I was thinking more like it was Mike holding the gun.
Maybe. The Speaker Johnson saying, I asked him why he did this, and he said, I didn't. Right. He swore that he didn't.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you know, we have Biden in such a state at this point that there is zero way to know what his mental state was if he knew any of this then. So it's like, I guess you just have to move on.
We really don't. But, you know, if you Google or, AI it.
Oh, you got to AI it.
Tend to. The AI will tell you it's absolutely fine. And in fact, every president, including Trump, has used the auto pen.
And I'm fine with the auto pen.
Is that Trump had used the auto pen once.
Well, because he loves to sign.
Yeah, because he knows there's value in his signature and it'll be worth money someday. Somebody will sell it.
Well, and he might actually want to quickly peruse the document he's signing, unlike Joey, who's like, I don't want to see it.
I don't know if he does that. He's got a guy that he says, what do we have today?
Yeah.
And the guy tells him what it is. And then he goes, oh, what do you think? That sound pretty good? Is that pretty good media? Okay, let me sign it. So that's a typical Trump executive order media event. He's got a daily podcast show, let's face it.
I mean, I hear he is getting rid of daylight savings time and turning it into Donald J time.
Well, if we got Donald J time, we'd have 24 hours in a day.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Which would be perfect. I would love that because that's more my natural style. Instead of being awake, I'm mostly asleep during that time. But yeah.
Well, you're usually just playing your video games. We were flipping through the YouTubes the other day and you were live and I turned it on and Kim's like, is this really what he spends his time doing? I'm like, oh, yeah.
Oh, did you see the 2,000 subscribers I have?
No, I didn't see them. I thought those were all Iranian bots.
Doesn't matter.
No, not if they're watching the ads, baby. We don't care who's watching them. Just give me more ads.
Hey, man, I'm climbing up there. I'm gonna get to 1 million before too long here.
That's what Bill O'Reilly's trying to be, is 1 million by Easter, and he's on his way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really? He's under 1 million?
Yeah, just under. I mean, although he only started doing YouTube.
What kind of video games do you play?
The best kind, I'm sure. He puts his little clips from his show and then does a few extra things on there.
Yeah.
I think the minute he realized the kind of money you could make coming in if you have 1 million subscribers is it makes it worth it if you have an existing audience.
Thing is, not for politics. Politics is a very low payout.
I guess because the ad is
because no one wants to be attached to any political position.
He must think it brings people into his other things. Probably people buy more books.
For him, it's an upsell mechanism more than anything, I think. Yeah.
His latest book is still currently 6 months after it was released on the New York Times bestseller list. Not that you make a lot of money on books now.
People mention that like it means something. I know two different guys whose jobs is to do that, to put authors on the New York Times list.
So how much did you pay to get on that list?
It's $20,000.
You're like, I got it. You're like, will you take ponchos?
It's honestly, it means nothing, and it's just a cost. And it's usually for a real book, it's a publishing company that pays it, not the author, obviously. But there have been people that are self-published that have gotten on that list as well, just by paying the money.
Because it's, I guess, a way for people to be like, oh, this is what I should be reading because I'm a lemming.
Well, a lot of people used to be. I think a lot of these things are all going away. Like Gen X is the last generation that gives a shit about things like New York Times list. Nobody younger than Gen X gives a shit about that. But it was a way to sort of not have to keep track of what the smart people are doing and just follow along. Oh, this book's been on the New York Times. Must be good. I'll pick that up. I'll read that.
Well, yeah, because walking into a bookstore can be quite daunting.
Plus, most bookstores used to have a 10% discount for New York Times bestselling books.
Right. Well, this is also true. because they figured they'd be pushing more of those.
Yeah. And it's a
bookstore.
self-fulfilling prophecy because in theory, the New York Times bestselling list is only based on the number of books that a bookstore orders. So if you sell out of a book, you order more, that increases your book count rating for New York Times list.
Well, yeah, because there's no magic thing that tracks how many each bookstore is selling. It's not like it's reported.
A long time ago, like probably 20 years ago, 25 years ago, they officially still count that number. It's like how many books were ordered by a store, right? However, the little dirty little secret that I know, because I know people that literally are in this business, is that you can pay to have the books ordered and no physical books actually ever shipped or delivered. And that number still counts.
Interesting.
So effectively, it's a total gamification of the system. What you're doing is you're putting in phony baloney orders with real money. It's reverse money laundering is what it is. You're putting in real money and telling them, don't worry about shipping the books. We don't really need the books.
So the books are now like your spaceships.
They're paid for.
They're virtual.
Remember, this is how Hillary Clinton gets on the New York Times bestselling list.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt about that.
She has tremendous number of books that are sold to bookstores. She herself gets a multi-million-dollar advance from the publishing company. The number of actual books that were purchased of hers would never get her on the New York Times bestseller list, but it doesn't matter because it's just about the money. And the Clinton family is billionaires.
Well, and again, because people buy what they see is on the top list. So, I mean, I guess that's the advertising. Music is the same way. Now, if you're Taylor Swift and you've got $1 billion and your latest album really isn't popping, you're like, well, I think I'll order 500,000 of them.
Exactly.
Now,
I want to put a caveat or an asterisk on that. This is true for any nonfiction book. For fiction books, it is absolutely cutthroat, and you have to have a book that's actually selling really well because the money involved is about 10 times higher in fiction books than nonfiction. So you can spend 20, 25 grand for a nonfiction book to move it up the charts, but it's going to take you 100 grand to $1 million to do that with a fiction book.
Because it's a larger audience.
A lot of people actually enjoy buying fiction books. Yeah.
Yeah, they want the escapism. They don't want to learn.
Yeah.
That's why they don't turn into this show, because they might learn something.
My first book was number 2 on Amazon for one day.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Best-selling author. Gene Niftulia. But then you see the problem with, for you selling books online, people are like NAF.
I know, nobody can spell it.
R.
VYT.
Right.
L.
The Q is silent. Don't worry.
It's not in there.
I can't find it. That's why the perfect pen name would be John Doe, except there's probably 8,000.
John Doe is a hell of a pen name. And nothing prevents you from doing that because you can have in fact, book titles are not trademarkable.
Right, titles are not.
So you can change your name to Mark Twain and have your pen name be Mark Twain, publish books under Mark Twain, and called your book the Further Tales of Huckleberry Finn, and it's perfectly legal.
No, it's a very weird thing, and because there's some of the I think like in acting, don't you have to have some kind of variant? I don't think you can have the exact same name, which is why some people use their middle initial. There's a registration. I don't know if it's just in Hollywood or if it's like theater actors as well. It's probably just Hollywood, but in Hollywood, to be I don't know what the official term is, but if you're an official actor, like you're not a background actor, maybe it's to be in the union. Maybe that's what it is. But I remember reading about this, that you have to have a name that is unique and not the same as any other previous actor with your name. So a lot of people do have to change names. Like there's a guy named Michael A. Jackson in there, and there's there's a handful of actors that it would be very confusing. Like if I go on to Amazon and I do a search for Gene, And then there's somebody else with the same name writing books in the same vein. Yeah. It's like, how would you know which is which?
Right. Or like Adam Curry, in basketball.
Right. Well, big black guy instead of big
Stephen
white
Curry,
guy.
Adam Curry, same difference.
Oh, yeah, they're cousins.
That's why Adam had to change his name,
Oh, I didn't know that. His name was originally Stephen.
Yeah. Adam was originally Stephen, and then he had to become Adam because of Stephen Curry's basketball player.
You're upset about the whole sitting in your underwear watching RT thing, aren't you?
No, I'm not, because it's true.
It's like, but it's interesting because if people would, one, you can look at the massive change in the way things are covered just within the English world in the between the left and the right. It would be really interesting. I mean, I don't understand Russian, but I would assume that the Russian coverage is way different. And people don't, again, you have to understand what propaganda is that you're being hit. It was somebody had a quote from the Daily Show guy, Jon Stewart, that was talking about the news media. And I forget if it was the BBC, something. He's like, well, you understand it's just government media. So it's all just, propaganda. We would never, have that in the United States.
Oh, yes. The ridiculous quote from John. We believe too much in freedom of press.
Right. It's like, you John. Think what we have now is a free press that is giving you actual facts rather than propaganda? I mean, come on.
The problem is, and it's true at the BBC too, is it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you censor what the press can do, the only people willing to work at the press believe the information that is identical to censorship.
Right.
And so after a while, you don't need to censor the press. They self-censor because of their ideology. And that's what we have in this country is we have a sort of a self-censoring press due to their ideological beliefs, which will always skew stories in the direction that maybe some people believe that there's some, big entity pushing them to do. But I don't think that's actually the case. And back when I was in college, I was involved with the university paper. I was what the hell was my title?
Cartoons
chairman
editor.
Of the board. I was chairman of the board. I was the head of the paper, basically. And like the editor reported to me, the editor in chief.
Well, he wasn't much of a chief if he had somebody that he had to report to.
The marketing director reported to me. So I was the guy that makes sure that the school paper actually still is able to function. Ironically, I'm still doing that same job just for other people. But
did you call it the Daily Gene?
Yes. The University of Minnesota Daily Gene.
We're renaming the paper under my control. We're going to make the paper great again. The Daily Gene. All video
the Daily
games.
Gene is, back in the day, the Daily Gene was a pretty good paper. I don't know. Not so much probably these days.
All video game and sex worker ads.
I get no sex worker ads, man. You may get those because you're pirating software. I don't get those.
Pirating? Never. No. That would be illegal. Can you even pirate on a Mac? I don't think so.
It's
impossible.
I'm sure you've never looked into it.
Although the torrent sites are dropping like flies lately.
Are they?
Yeah.
Is the Pirate Bay still up?
Yes, which also makes me believe that it's some kind of a honeypot at this point.
It's always been a honeypot.
It's very interesting to see what
it's called
is there.
The Pirate Bay. Hello.
Bay. Hello. Come on in. And nobody really
How much
knows.
more honeypotty can you get than the Pirate Bay?
It's a great name.
Get your wares over here, boys.
It's a great name.
They're totally illegal.
The site is definitely not what it once was. But there were a few, RAR, BG was a big one for a long time. That shut down about a year ago. And everybody kind of moved over to Torrent Galaxy, which was big for the last few years. And that was, the oddity was that it was bought by somebody else. And it's like, well, how do you sell I understand this is all on the shady underworld dark web kind of a thing. but somebody else bought it and basically just ran it right into the ground, and it's been down more than up now. But it's interesting because it's like, well, how do you make money? Because people stealing shit overall are not the kind that are going to pay. That was like the last ditch effort on Torrent Galaxy was the big, here are our crypto addresses. Please help.
Money. Yeah.
You know, but it's like, okay, but you're asking people who are refusing to pay $5 for a piece of software to send you money.
Right.
And it's like, no, I don't think that's going to work. And again, that conversation, we've had it before when it comes to piracy. For me, it would be price your stuff reasonably. And I know a lot of people might argue that, well, I can't afford to give the software away for 10 or 20 bucks. But if you did, I don't think people would waste their time trying to find a pirated copy, understanding the implications of what that could do to your system, especially a Windows machine. That's the oddity of Mac piracy. There's very little chance for you to get any kind of malware on a Mac.
Yeah, almost done.
So the whole piracy thing is not, it seems like the community that is there allegedly is one that is just trying to help other people and to provide things, not to add a crypto miner or a, something bad to your machine. That's why
I think a lot of people back in the day, a lot of people really saw it as a ideological stance more than a money saving stance.
Right, like screw the man.
Well, not even screw the man, but the idea being that everything should be open source.
Right, because
and if somebody doesn't choose to be open source, well, we're not going to bother respecting their copyright.
Because the best software is always the open source stuff.
Yeah, don't even start. I had to use GIMP the other day.
What do you mean had to?
I needed something quick to make a YouTube thumbnail, and I needed something that was better than Microsoft Paint.
Well, okay, yeah, GIMP is better than Microsoft
But I was
Paint.
doing the editing while I was live streaming, so I couldn't have anything that would suck a lot of resources out of my computer. So I had to use something quick and dirty, so I used GIMP. But it was like GIMP today in 2025 feels like it's less of a software product than Photoshop in 1995.
So like Photoshop 2 or 3?
Like Photoshop 2, yeah.
The early years.
It is clunky isn't even the right word. It's just disjointed. It's like you have 20 different people that all wrote their own little piece with zero interest in trying to make it work with the other people's pieces.
Well, that's what a lot of it is. I mean, exactly.
I know. That's why I'm not complaining. But it's just clunky.
It's a pill time here, taking today antibiotics along with the CoQ10.
Are you?
Metoprolol. Yeah.
Can I give you some non-medical advice?
No. Of course. Is that what this show does?
I know. So I started, I think I mentioned this 2 weeks ago. I ordered some of this stuff called TroBlue.
TroBlue or TrueBlue? Tro, T-R-O?
T-R-O. It's TroBlue Canaanite, Texas. And so this stuff has caffeine, nicotine, what's this other thing? Hemp extract and methylene blue.
Hence the blue part.
Yeah. And as much as the ingredients are not particularly
healthy.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think of them as supplemental type ingredients. Like, wait a minute, like all three of these are addictive. The thing I have to say, just from personal usage, so not a medical recommendation, is it definitely cuts through the fog. You know that brain fog you get occasionally?
Well, yeah, because you've got stimulants popping right in, nicotine, caffeine.
Yeah, and CDB. And So the methylene blue, well, I didn't realize this. Do you know that methylene blue is actually a mild antibiotic?
I was unaware.
Yeah, it's used in treatment intravenously to prevent bacterial infections.
See, now that would be good stuff for me.
It is good stuff. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, I think the other ingredients are probably more responsible for the mind fog clearing, but the methylene blue, from the more I've been reading, let's be frank, more watching videos about it, the more I'm starting to think that Kennedy's trying to fuck things up for us.
No.
Because his latest thing is he wants to get rid of all food coloring. Well, what do you think methylene blue is?
Well, a lot of the food colorings aren't good, but it all depends what you're using for a food coloring. I mean, there are some that the stuff they use now mainly for red, isn't it like insects?
Bugs.
Right, that have been
so
pulverized.
Fully nutrient full.
Which, to be fair, at least they're natural and they're organic.
They are natural. They're little bugs.
Now, if you're using something for food coloring that is not natural, then that's it's a little bit of a different story.
Either way, I started the whole methylene blue taking of deal, and so far I like it. I'm gonna keep doing it. It is expensive shit though.
Well, everything is, man.
Quite a bit more than other supplements I take, because you know me, I take like 35 supplements a day.
You're like, let's try them all, throw them all in, let's see what happens.
Well, you're supposed to do them all, yeah.
Right, all at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a meal replacement because it's like 15 pounds of pills.
Well, it's probably a half a pound of pills for sure.
Gene puts them in all these pills in a big bowl, adds a little bit of milk, eats them like cereal.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Exactly. And then the whole bowl is blue now.
Well, yeah, because that's the, and that's like a Lucky Charms kind of a thing. You're like, this is
the only
cool.
problem is it colors the bowl blue.
Okay, when it's actually dyeing the ceramic.
It literally impregnates ceramic, yeah.
Just imagine what it's doing to your insides.
Permanent coloring.
Imagine what it's doing to your insides.
Well, it's not doing anything to your insides because it's catalyzed fairly quickly after you process it, and that the color, it becomes white.
But yeah, it's been a interesting week. Last week wound up in the hospital with some racing heart, which again came with the extra heartbeats.
Right.
Which the last time an antibiotic cleared it up. But nobody in the hospital wanted to try to comprehend that. So I called my doctor's office, had a phone visit with the nurse practitioner, described everything that was going on. So she gave me the amoxicillin with something else added into there. And while I didn't
caffeine
feel like that I had I'm like, I probably have a sinus infection again.
Yeah.
I just didn't really realize it because the last time it wasn't until the sinus infection was so bad that the tooth was sensitive to cold. And yeah, sure enough, the minute I start taking the antibiotics, all of a sudden all this mucus start draining. I'm like, interesting. Well, that had to be somewhere.
Amazing.
And the PACs have once again stopped. So and that was the antibiotic started that last Friday. I felt, one here and there, but that's kind of normal. But I felt it last Monday, over the weekend, then Monday, especially before Planet Rage. And then it went away. And then Tuesday, going into Tuesday night, Monday night into Tuesday night. And then the wife went to work on Tuesday. And like within a half hour of her going to work, I'm like, I kind of feel funny. So I went and did the whole watch thing with the ECG. And it's like, heart rate 150. And I'm like, okay, that's not normal.
No.
So
not for being stationary.
No. So I called the cardiologist's office. I'm like, I don't have, problems breathing. I don't have any chest pain, but the heart is racing at this point. Yeah. What should I do? And they're like, well, we could see you in the office at like 1 o'clock. They're like, then they went and go check with one of the doctors and like, why don't you just go into the ER? So I went into the ER. And I mean, I guess the nice thing about having your cardiologist in the hospital is that he actually met me in the ER. So there was, And then when we got home, there was a news article the wife found that some device he invented that they just started implanting in people, mainly for like older folk.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's kind of like a, if your heart stops kind of thing, that it like kicks in. You kind of have a defib all the way, all the time, like to try to keep your, like that's interesting.
I think they used to be called pacemakers.
This is not something that is running all the time, though, like a pacemaker.
Okay.
So I have to do a little more research into that because I was kind of intrigued. But he's like,
you have to plug yourself into USB every night,
right? Probably recharge yourself. He's like, if it keeps, happens again, get an ablation. That usually helps. Like, but I don't know if the ablation necessarily helps. And the last cardiologist was like, well, you're not really an AFib. It's just the PACs that are hitting over and over and over again, which is causing that. So, I mean, there's...
So, I was going to mention, too, I don't think we talked about it. I have this thing called Cardia. Have you heard of it?
No.
So, Cardia is a little portable device that lets you do a 6-lead cardiogram.
Oh, so it's just like what you're doing on the watch, but more...
But more, exactly. Yes. So, it's like the watch, but more. And it's very compact. Carry it with you. And then it's kind of neat seeing the whole, like six little lines instead of just one for your cardiogram, which gives a much better indicator to the medical professionals. And now I don't do this, but they also have a service where you can also subscribe and then send, as soon as you take a cardiogram, send it to them, and then their doctors will analyze it and get back to you and tell you if you need to go to the emergency room.
Now, do you have to like do all the little stickies all over your chest?
Nope, not at all. You just have to keep pressure on it.
Interesting.
So check it out. It starts with a K, Cardia with a K.
Cardia with, of course, because it needs a different name.
Of course. I wish we were sponsored. We're not. This just happens to be something that I have.
Could you just imagine if we were sponsored by health?
Well, it's really, it's not hard to do. All we need to do is have about 100,000 subscribers, and then we can get those medical device placement ads.
Oh yeah, I've seen these with the little leads that you that you touch.
Yep,
that makes sense. That makes sense, and that way you get a little better idea of what is actually.
And Bluetooth talks to your phones. The app is on your phone.
And I hate the for the EKGs, and I swear to God, when I got in there, when I went to the room, there were like 3 different times that they did EKGs, and they all wanted to add their own little pads. By the time I was getting out of there, because I got a big hairy chest, man, let me tell you, there's a nice one for cotton gin. Pulling off like 15 of those sticky tabs.
Oh, God damn.
There's just like, I'm sorry.
Oh, you might have a hairy chest. They have to shave me to put those on.
See, that's it. He's got to come in like, no, sir, we got to. I'm like, you know what? The next time, if I have like 5 minutes before I have to go to the ER or wait for the ambulance, I'm pulling out the...
Your wife's like, hurry up. You're like, hang on, honey, I'm shaving.
Yes, I'm shaving my chest because otherwise this is not going to be fun.
Yeah.
It is not going to be fun. So that was that. The heart rate went back into normal sinus rhythm on its own. My heart, not the rate, the heart.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're like, well, we're going to keep you overnight.
Yeah.
And if you're still an AFib in the morning, they're like, we'll put the thing down your throat.
Oh, God.
And I guess this is the new thing now. They have, like my dad had this not that long ago where they went down to look. They basically do a, kind of like a little MRI from the inside to look at the heart. And they're like, well, now they have the thing where they can go down. They're like, one, we'd want to look and make sure there's no blood clots in the heart. But they can do the electrical reboot of the heart from that device now.
That doesn't sound good.
I know, it doesn't sound like any fun whatsoever. Like, we're going to stick something down your throat and then shock your heart. How you feel about that?
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Your
Let's do
throat
it.
Doesn't connect to your heart, right?
I don't know exactly how they do it. I do not understand, but they
probably don't quite put it down your throat. They probably put it in the artery going up to your head.
Anything's possible. Anything is possible.
I've watched enough House episodes
to know everything.
All these procedures, yeah.
Then I could tell the wife was getting a little not agitated, but she had her surgery scheduled for Thursday into Friday. And then she ended up staying overnight because there were some complications with that. And now it's very strange. Everybody, my father-in-law, although he has cancer, so he's in and out of the ER all the time. And now my sister-in-law, who is, getting to be about 60 or so, she needs her gallbladder out. Was having pain and not going into the doctor. It's like, always go into the doctor. Because they took her into the ER yesterday and are doing the surgery today. So that tells you how bad the gallbladder is. It's never like next day surgery with gallbladders. It's like, we'll schedule you for like 4 or 5 weeks. No problem. And my nephew's wife, who is 29, also having the gallbladder out next week. Like, a lot of people are getting sliced and diced around me. Don't know what it is.
Getting old is what it is. I can tell you that right now.
I guess.
That's how that works.
It's like, it's better than the alternative.
Yeah. Are you taking your vitamin K? Is she taking her vitamin K? Is a better question.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Make sure she is.
Got to have a lot of K.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. So yeah, the wife will be getting another surgery in about 3 months. So yay. But then after that, everything should be good. It was because of her diverticulitis that they didn't realize it was as bad as it was. I guess this happens in about 1% of the cases or less. It was actually the colon was starting to attach itself to the organs near it.
Oh my God.
And the surgeon's like, if this would have ruptured, if you survive, that's always, it's good when it's like, well, if you would have survived that, then you might have a bag. So he's like, you need to get this taken care of. So I guess it's really good. She was having the other surgery that they found out that it's the diverticulitis is nothing to play around with.
No, and if you watch House, it's probably either going to be lupus or
it's never lupus.
Sarcoidosis. Yeah,
right. It's always got to be lupus. Got to be something good. So at least overall everything seems to be moving in the right direction for now. Everybody's like, "Why are you not doing Unrelenting?" Okay, well, nobody asked. Actually, why we didn't do Unrelenting. I mean, Cotton Gin shows up when we're live. NetNed shows up. Omega Project, Pfeiffer sometimes.
I don't think anyone knows, though.
Nobody did. No, we could just skip 4, 5, 6 months.
Nobody asked, man. I had to actually post people proactively and said we're not going to be on.
And they're like, "What do you mean?"
Usually you would think that there would be somebody posting saying, "Hey, are you going to be on?"
Only No Beret asks. He's always the one.
Or the day after, "Hey, were you guys not on?"
Right. You missed a show.
No.
Cotton Gin wants to know if we're live right now. It's like, no,
it's a pre-recorded show.
Yeah, we know exactly when you're going to ask questions, so we just add that in. It adds to the fun.
Obviously, this is the time period in the show when we answer questions. So,
right.
Yes, we are in fact not live. Correct.
And there were some people since the last show that supported the show. So this is amazing. I mean, maybe
we should do no
shows.
We should do more no episodes.
Right. If we skip shows, the money comes in. They're like, "Thank you for making my podcast listening easier by not doing a show at all."
You guys gave us back 2 hours today.
Yes, exactly. The gift of time, especially when the daylight savings time was hitting. It's like
I thought we were done with that. This is bullshit.
Right. That's why we need Donald J. Trump time. He needs to make time great again. And rename it. Like the Gulf of Mexico is the Gulf of America. We need to just have the time renamed for Donald J.
You mean the Gulf of America is the Gulf of America.
That's true. But Weenie Wawa came in with $10 via PayPal. I think that's monthly. So thank you, Weenie Wawa.
Nice.
1080. Scott Gorman came in with $10. That's monthly, I believe. Keith Seifert, $5. I believe that's monthly as well. See, everybody jump on a monthly. Come on.
That's the key.
Yeah, Keith Shoemaker, $3.93, said magic number and covered the PayPal tax for you, so thank you.
Nice.
I used to know a guy named Keith Shoemaker. He was always the guy that was trying to sleep on people's floors when we go to follow the one country artist that I was working for. And he'd always go to the concert. And he was like, I made it to the show. Just need a place to stay. Different guy, though. I looked him up. And Let me pull it up here via helipad. Of course, 39.89 Satoshis, which is about $3, I believe, right now.
Mm-hmm.
Comic strip blogger. He says, "Hey, Jew, no, howdy, Jew, and Irish guy, have fun."
Of course he does.
Yo, CSB. Well, have fun to you too, CSB.
Yeah, have fun, Polak.
It's a Polish guy, an Irish guy, and a Russian guy all walk into a bar.
Well, we know. Well, actually, I was going to say, out of that group, we don't know who's going to outdrink who.
That's true. Yeah, I haven't really had a drink in a long time.
Uh-huh.
It's again that heart rhythm thing.
We don't even know who's going to eat more potatoes.
Well, that would be CSB, obviously.
I don't know, man. The Irish know how to put away potatoes.
I mean, if you make them, and I did have a sweet potato yesterday. Does that count?
Yeah, those are good for your heart.
I know, and they taste so good.
They are very good. I love sweet potato fries.
Yeah.
We can get those a lot of places instead of regular fries here.
You can make them yourself, too.
But you could also get them as fries in restaurants here.
The sweet potato fry, just, cut those up, put them into an air fryer.
Mm-hmm.
But just the full sweet potato. It's so easy. The
full sweet potato is super easy to do because you just dump a bunch of sugar on it.
No, I don't even do that. It tastes so good even without the cinnamon. I mean, with the cinnamon and sugar, yeah, it tastes better.
Yeah. Cinnamon and sugar, baby.
But even without it, I've did a little bit of Irish butter, maybe. But you throw the sweet potato in an air fryer, 400 degrees for like 45 minutes. The skin gets nice and crispy. The inside gets nice and soft. Oh, it's beautiful. It's one of the few things that is
it's good, yeah.
Pseudo healthy or actually healthy and doesn't taste like crap.
Yeah. Now, what's the difference between a sweet potato and the yam?
I think they're in the same family. I don't know exactly if there's a...
They're just different species of the similar kind of...
If it's not just a different name, I don't think they're that different if they are into the exact same thing.
I need to buy one and plant it.
You're like, let's plant. Well, you got the potato room, right?
I do, yeah.
Gene's potato room. You should put photos up of that on the Fediverse.
Oh, hell no. I don't want anyone running over here when we have the big nuclear war happening.
They're like, we need yams.
You're not getting my potato plants. These are mine.
You're like, I'm only going to be able to live for like 3 weeks on these.
3. Better be more than that.
You got the nuclear bunker, though, don't you?
No, I don't have a nuclear bunker.
You just start digging. Start digging in the ground. That would be awesome.
I've been dude named Ben sends me videos of these giant, super expensive bunkers being put in that people are doing. The multi-room bunkers that you need a golf cart to drive around in.
Oh yeah, they're like pre-done. They just dig the big hole then and like schlock them into your backyard.
They dig insanely big holes. Yeah, it's like a swimming pool size hole, and they lower it in there, and then the cheap ones are square. The good ones are actually round because they're more apt to survive.
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
It's a stronger concept, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't have a weak spot.
Now, yams, according to Perplexity, belong to the Dioscorea genus, native to Africa and Asia, and are edible tubers.
They are.
And
what about sweet potato?
They belong to the Ipomoa genus, and they're native to Central and South America and are root tubers.
They're both root tubers. Well, what about regular potatoes?
Well, one's a root tuber, and the yams, they say, are edible tubers. So I don't know why one's a root tuber and one's an edible tuber.
Two different people wrote the article.
Tubers.
Look up regular potatoes.
Tubers.
Yeah, look up the regular potatoes.
Now, see, vitamin C sweet potatoes are higher than yams. And higher in beta carotene as well, sweet potatoes. Now, for copper, yams have more, and potassium more than double in a yam than a sweet potato.
Really?
That's what it says, if you believe Perplexity. Now, what kind
Why would I believe Perplexity?
Just want a baking potato, a red potato? What are we comparing to?
Just, potatoes come from the New World as well.
The New World Order?
No, they come from here.
Really?
New World. Yeah, they didn't exist in Europe.
compared to a normal spud, let's see what that gives me.
Yeah, you're looking for the Solanum tuberosum.
We didn't know we'd have spud talk today on Unrelenting, everybody. If you had that,
you may not have known that.
If you had it on your bingo card, you win today. If you had spud talk. The regular potato is Solanium genus.
Yeah, not Solanium.
They come from the South America, Andes region.
Solanum tuberosum.
Very starchy.
Yeah, they didn't exist in Europe. Potatoes first got to Europe in the 1500s and quickly were adopted by the Irish, the Polish, and the Russian.
Well, yeah, you got to make potato pancakes and vodka. Vodka.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what Adam Curry forgot. Gene sitting in his underwear, watching RT, swigging vodka.
I haven't had a drink in years, dude.
Yeah, I didn't say you were swallowing. Okay. You could be like Bill Clinton.
I'm just swigging.
I'm just swigging the vodka.
Yeah.
Although that you could probably still get a little buzz from because it probably just goes right in.
They are poisonous.
What's poisonous?
Potatoes.
Regular potatoes.
Yeah.
Poisonous.
Yeah. They have the toxin solanine, which I believe is it's an alkaloid poison.
Then why would you ever want to eat it?
Well, that's why you don't eat the plant. That's the poisonous part. You only eat the roots.
Oh, yes. The tubers. It says, among yams, potatoes, sweet potatoes, and regular potatoes have the highest potential for toxicity. They contain glycocaloids, that's good, such as solanine and chaconine. Yep. Yeah, these are big words, kids. You don't want them in green, sprouted, or improperly stored potatoes.
The symptoms of solanine is a production of effects such as cardiac dysrhythmia.
Oh, well, that's not good.
No. Nightmares.
Like doing the show over and over and over and over.
Headaches, vomiting, diarrhea, and eczema.
Oh, well, that's no good.
And they'll kill your thyroid.
Do not want that.
But other than that, they're very delicious.
It is sweet potatoes are what you want, and they last forever, man. I had one that we made last night that was like sitting on a chair that I forgot about in the dining room because we had a bunch of food, and it's like, oh, just throw it over here, and I'm like, oh, it's fine, it's great.
A dose of 3 milligrams per kilogram body weight can be fatal.
Woo! Death by potato.
Yeah. Death may occur as rapidly as 10 minutes.
Whoa. That's not, I mean, that is like, you're really going to regret having that potato skin.
And there's also a correlation with birth defects.
Yeah, no worries about that at this point.
Not potatoes
pregnant.
are often used to poison livestock.
Really? The more you know. If you want to help support the show to find other great information like this, you go to unrelenting.show.
I thought you were going to say you go to Wikipedia.
You could. unrelenting.show/donate to help this show continue going on. And you can go to Wikipedia or you can go to Perplexity or ChatGPT. They all kind of give you the same information.
ChatGPT lies.
Does it? Does ChatGPT lie? ChatGPT lies, little boy. Don't you believe ChatGPT? No, you don't. Hi, Cotton Gin. Do you believe ChatGPT? Don't believe ChatGPT. Come on in. I've got a soda.
That's uncannily too close for comfort.
A little too. It's the Herbert the Pervert Show. Maybe this is what I should be doing on YouTube.
You should, dude. If you could do that voice on YouTube with some really janky cartoons. Hell, you could take other people's cartoons and just do the fake voice. And that's totally considered a
parody then, right?
Well, not even just parody, but it's part of the exceptions, the 7 exceptions to copyright law is if you substantially change the, through a reuse of something, substantially change the final product.
That would be changing it.
So you could take like say a Disney mouse cartoon or something.
Well, now you could use Steamboat Mickey. He's in the.
Oh boy,
he fell into.
I'm talking about like a later mouse.
True.
And then just use that voice.
Hi, boys and girls.
And they can't do anything about it. I mean, they could absolutely do something about it, but the law would be on your side.
Hi, everybody. It's me.
No, you can't do both the voice and the visual at the same time.
Oh, so that would be bad.
Disconnected. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta bring it into a totally different voice.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Now, if you do that voice with like a Star Wars movie video, that would be okay.
What if I take the Tim Pool's videos?
Make Darth Vader talk like that.
What if I made Tim Pool sound like Mickey Mouse?
I think that would be too close to the original.
People can still be confused.
Yeah.
We don't know what Timmy's doing.
Tim Pool's being accused of being a right winger left and right now, and it's hilarious.
Well, now that the Russian money from you stopped, he's probably really hurting.
Well, he had to lay off a bunch of people.
He's like, oh no, Gene's $4,000 a show donation stopped.
Yeah, that's it. I'm no longer a member of Tim Pool at this point because,
Ladies and gentlemen, Gene is out of the pool. That's all I'm saying.
Out of the Tim Pool into the Gene Pool.
Right. Don't send your see, that's it. You need a show called the Gene Pool.
The Gene Pool.
You can be like, don't send your money to Tim Pool. Send it to Gene Pool.
That's right.
All he does is listen to RT for you and tells you what they're saying, what they're doing. I don't
listen to. I was on the phone yesterday to a person in the actual country yesterday.
And they were
I get my news from the horse's mouth.
Now, it seems that the United States, now, is this deal, if it goes through, and it seems like it may, once the United States has people in Ukraine playing Find the Lithium or whatever they're doing, does this make it much more complicated for Russia to try to do anything in Ukraine? Meaning, it just turns out, from what I'm understanding, like all these areas that are contested, that just happens to be where all the good minerals are. So if you have American companies or whoever is going to go in there,
and
then Vlad decides that he wants to bomb it, is this then akin to provoking a war with the United States? I mean, that's, I think the concept was,
I think that's kind of the intent.
So we put Americans on the ground. They're not going to be military because that would be aggressive.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody, after thinking about this, should be too keen on the exploration of minerals in Ukraine. Because you're effectively cannon fodder.
The only question would be, I mean, one, yes, you are cannon fodder, but would the United States, because really the only reaction could then be World War III.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's like, is it really a good idea to put American boots on the ground, even, non-military?
Well, it is for Europe, because then they don't have to put their boots on the ground.
Well, yeah, Europe very rarely wants to defend their own territory or send their own soldiers or their own money, for that matter.
Europe mostly likes to talk as though these countries are all in the periods of time that they have in their history books of greatness. Like every European country had its moment at some point in history. And they all want to talk today as though they're still in that period. So
even though they have deballed themselves by joining
completely
the EU.
And embraced communism to an extent that at this point is challenging the old USSR. I mean, the level of government controls in these countries, UK included, even though it's not part of the EU, is astounding. Like putting people in prison for saying something online.
Oh, yeah.
That is actually common sense. It's all the shit out of 1984, except it's not like, oh yeah, like the old Soviet Union, except no. 1984 was written about the future of Britain. And it's exactly what's happening right now.
Well, yes. Oh, so what are you doing outside this on the other side of the street from an abortion clinic? Oh, you're praying?
Mhm.
Oh, that's illegal.
That's illegal. Yeah.
Like,
What do you think this is? A Christian country?
Right. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
Yeah. If you mention the fact that there's a disproportionate rape committed by people who practice Islam, oh, you can't be saying that. That's a prison sentence.
But how dare you point out the actual facts of what's going on?
Exactly. These are all punishable, and it's not just Britain. I mean, we hear about it Britain because it's English language, but it's also happening in other European countries as well. Now, France has gone the other way to where they're basically fully just giving the Islamists everything they want. I think this is payback for Algiers and the French control of North Africa, and now we're going to have the North African control of France.
It's not going to be good.
No. Now, Italy seems to be, at least for the moment, kind of pushing back on this, but I don't trust that chick.
But this is also why mass
governor of Italy
immigration by people who have completely different ways of life and values is not a good thing.
No.
I mean,
I agree.
We could see this in the United States alone, that people congregate with the people that are like them. When you mix.
Michigan.
Yeah. But I mean, like Utah, big Mormon community, nobody cares because most of the people are Mormon. It works. They they leave everybody alone. Everybody leaves them alone. They live their life. We live our life.
Yeah.
The minute you decide you want to move into the middle of a Mormon town and open up a bar, well, then you're just asking for controversy.
Well, you can open up a bar. You're just not going to make a lot of money there.
Well, not by the Mormons.
No.
Except for the bad Mormons.
Except for the bad Mormons, exactly.
They may really drink. You never know.
Yeah. Well, they probably do. Yeah. Yeah. I remember one time I had lunch with a Mormon fella. He was probably in his late 50s, early 60s even. And we're ordering our food and then I got some iced tea and he said, so iced tea's pretty good. I'm like, yeah, I drink it all the time ever since I moved to Texas pretty much. He said, yeah, I'll have one of those too. I didn't think anything about it. And then he mentioned at the end of lunch, he said, yeah, it was the first time I ever had tea.
Really?
So yeah, I corrupted a Mormon.
Wouldn't be the first time, probably.
First time with a male Mormon. Whoa.
Gene goes both ways.
For iced tea, yeah. Now, it's you don't think about this stuff, but yeah, some people have a lot of dietary restrictions, Mormons included. And, you just kind of take it for granted and you don't really notice it until you have it pointed out and you're like, oh, interesting.
It is a different culture, no question.
Yeah.
And I looked it up yesterday after they talked about it on No Agenda. It seems that they were incorrect about the autism levels. They were talking about Mennonites, which is the Mennonites are an offshoot of the Amish. They are less restrictive. Some Mennonites have phones and cars and all that.
Yep.
So they're coming more towards modern society. But there was a study that was done on the Amish who are even more restrictive that you would figure would have, none of the vaccinations.
Right.
And the amount of autism in children was the same for the Amish. No, it was the same for the Amish as the Americans. So
no, it's a fake study. So there have been numerous studies done that I've seen that show that the occurrence of autism in the Amish population is roughly what it was in the U.S. population in the 1970s. And our current occurrence of autism is like 8 times higher right now.
Let's see.
Adam was correct. You're wrong, sir. Wrong.
Hey, bring the receipts, as the kids say.
Next topic.
And I hate that. I hate bring the receipts, and I hate we're spilling some tea. It's like, what the fuck does that mean?
I don't know what that means.
That means like dishing the dirt now, spilling the tea. It's like, fuck you. That's dumb.
I don't understand where that comes from.
I don't either. But that is
bring the receipts is it's a dumb way of saying it, but at least I understand what they mean.
Yes,
they're just using the term receipt to mean evidence, and I don't understand why it's hard to say bring some evidence instead of you have to say bring the receipts. But
yes,
whatever.
I don't get it. I don't understand why people just can't speak.
These damn kids normally. These days with their damn language and meaning things.
Use the words that we already have.
We already have the words. We had them way before you were born. They still exist. You just never learned them.
We're going to make up new ways to say things here on Unrelenting.
I think the real cause of stupidity in America was the use of texting on the old school phones that had the T9. You know what I mean? Where you had to, like, if to type a letter, you had to push the button 3 times.
Like 3 to write. You had to really want to send that fucking message.
Because that created all the crazy abbreviations that currently still exist in texting culture.
Well, and now oddity.
And you don't need to anymore because 9 out of 10 times they just hit the record button, say the words, and then it types them for them anyway.
Yeah, I like that. I like the speech to text. But you also notice when you're typing in the words, they're now auto-filling and for
the wrong words. Yes.
Yeah, quite often the wrong words, but it still makes for a faster experience.
I'm trying to type charisma. It keeps correcting it to Rizz. Like, that's not a word. It's not a fucking word.
You got the Rizz.
Uh-huh.
Gene got the Rizz. What's the Rizz?
It's like charisma of 18 on my video game character. What the hell's this Rizz bullshit?
What? So it's just Rizz?
Yeah.
And it's like, what is the Rizz, man? It's internet slang for charisma or flirtation skills.
Yeah. Yeah. They no longer use normal words. They use abbreviations for everything. And there's zero reason for it. There was a reason back in the T9 phone days. There's no reason for it today. And yet it persists. And we've been dumbing down the culture immeasurably. They can't spell. They can't do math. And they don't have a vocabulary.
And they're afraid to speak to people face to face.
And they generalize like crazy.
Yeah. You got Rizz, that's winning charisma. Someone who is effortlessly smooth and successful at flirting. Or do you got Rizz, losing charisma? Someone who is bad at flirting or has no game. Wait, I thought it was rude to like be mean to somebody. So if you're saying they got Rizz.
It's rude to be mean to only people younger than you.
Oh, I see. I got Unspoken Rizz. That's when someone can attract others without even saying a word.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah, so basically a deaf mute. Makes sense.
Yep. Unspoken Rizz. That's what I got. That might even be a better show title than
You
Death
and
by
Zendaya.
Potato.
That's who has that.
You think so?
Yeah.
You just spell out the words, kids. Use the big words.
They don't know them.
No, that's true.
They've never read books.
Well, that's because they're dangerous. They say bad words in books.
You should burn those instead.
We want to be able to. Well, you saw the article, I think, in the multiple since our last show, which was Amazon, as we have talked about years ago with the George Orwell stuff, where they were pulling things from the Kindles. All of a sudden, Amazon was changing their terms of service, and no longer will you be able to download the books that you bought.
You bought books; they're no longer yours. Sorry, we're gonna burn them.
You bought them, but you can't download them and have them away from your Amazon connected to the internet device.
I think that's bad, but also it completely does not affect me because I never reread anything.
Well, it doesn't affect me because I never bought a book on Amazon.
Well, there you go. So it just affects either one of us.
And it's like, because, well, why? Because they're all available online. And you know what? They can remain on my hard drive where nobody can get them. I will have the books, kids. When Amazon takes them away or changes them.
You're like the old man in Logan's Run.
Sure. But I think this is
Logan's Run
to be able to, wasn't the Harrison
Ford?
What year
Logan's Run came out?
Was that Harrison Ford in that? Logan's Run?
No, it wasn't Harrison Ford.
Who was in Logan's Run?
It was that blonde guy.
The guy with the guy.
Blonde guy. You know who I'm talking
about. The blonde guy. The guy with the guy. Kurt Russell?
Is Kurt Russell blonde?
I don't know. Does his carpet match the drapes? These are the questions.
Who is in Logan's Run?
There you go. Asking verbally.
Main characters are 5, played by Michael.
Yeah, that's getting caught in the noise gate.
Played by Jenny Agar. There's also Francis Seven, portrayed by Richard Jordan, and the computer that runs the city, voiced by Laura Lindsay.
Yeah, the guy with the face.
Sci-fi flick from 1976.
Okay, so it told me the date as well, which was the important thing I was looking for. So 76 that came out.
I was 6.
Well, you saw it, didn't you?
I think so.
You never saw Logan's Run? Is this one of the movies you've never seen that you absolutely have to see?
No, I don't think I have to see many of any. I mean, that is...
before you die, which could be any day now.
Could be. Just take them all on the device into the hospital.
Let's put Logan's Run on your list. So it's a classic dystopian movie about a future society that has a ritual where people go to, what do they call it? They kill off their senior citizens. But not really senior citizens because it happens on your 30th birthday. So it's a society of youthful people. And it's a little bit like Blade Runner, but without the androids. And Logan is basically one of these enforcer guys that whose job is to catch the runners that try to run away instead of being part of the ritual where they go to the other place.
That would make sense. They're trying to get out.
Yeah. And so he ends up getting framed and being a runner himself from the authorities. And as part of his adventure of running away from there, he and this other woman, I mean, they're all young to me, but they discover this old man. They've never seen an old man in their entire lives, right? Nobody ever gets that old. And this was Peter Ustinov in looking like he's about 70 and living outside of the city. Of course, it has a little bit of a vibe of Planet of the Apes as well.
Yeah, the last Hollywood movie I saw was A Song is Born, as we talked about by Adam Curry on the Podcasting 2.0 show. Danny Kaye back from 1948. The
last movie you saw was from 1948.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't in 1948, but yeah, the 1948 Virginia Mayo, Danny Kaye with some great music, including cameos and some appearances by Benny Goodman, Louis Armstrong, Tommy Dorsey, Lionel Hampton. I mean,
I've seen it. It's a good movie.
It's a little romp. It was fun, man. I had never seen that. And the only thing that I thought was when they hit the scene in the nightclub at first, Virginia Mayo wearing the outfit that you're like, that would work for today still. Was not a conservative outfit. In 1948, I can only imagine.
Speaking of outfits, so Logan's Run won an Oscar, I believe, for costumery. Costumery? I don't know what's the word.
Costumery? I don't know.
It's whatever the fancy word for costumes is. They had some of the best costumes of any wardrobe, probably. Yeah. One of the best costumes of any movie. Trust me when I say watch the movie, you'll see what I mean.
And those guys aren't show tunes.
Or you could just Google Logan's Run outfits and you'll see what I mean.
Would you believe NetNed thinks that the songs I'm talking about were show tunes? I'm like, this was the birth of jazz and bebop and those kind of things. Do you think Benny Goodman and Louis Armstrong are show tunes? Interesting.
I think that I understand why he would say that. Let's put it that way. I don't think that's technically what they are, but I totally understand why you say, because a lot of show tunes kind of froze in that era of style.
That's true.
Like if you think of
Les Mis.
No, I was thinking of the trombone salesman guy. What was it called? The Music Man?
Ah, yes.
Yeah, same style of music, but show tunes. I think what he's trying to imply is it's gay.
Fake and gay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely gay.
Tell that to Benny Goodman. That dude could play a clarinet. Come on.
Clarinet sounds like a gay instrument to me.
Can you remember a time? That's just wild when you think that the musical icons, were trombone and clarinet players.
Uh-huh.
You're like, wow.
Come on. It was always the drummers.
Well, yeah, because the drummers, man, they kept the beat.
Yeah, Gene Krupa. Yeah.
Gene Krupa? Isn't he Russian or Polish?
No, I don't think so.
Gene Krupa. And of course, let's see. Well, now I want to know. Tell me more about Gene Krupa. Cotton Gin says he plays bass and clarinet. So, I mean, obviously, Gene Krupa, born in Chicago in 1909.
I do not know this. We're talking about jazz music.
Oh, man. How do you not know this? I mean, I just pipe everything into ChatGPT.
That's the problem. You're like one of them whippersnapper kids.
I'm like, ChatGPT, tell me what I need to know. I got Rizz.
you got L Rizz.
My W's turned into L. Come on. Help me, ChatGPT. Well, now just imagine the world where we're going to have the ChatGPT constantly just talking in your ear.
You mean like my phone currently does through its Bluetooth headset? Yes.
Right. Now, I mean, now if you're walking down the street, if you have your AI on, is it like, oh,
yeah,
gee,
it's picking up all the sounds and talking to them?
Is it like, but does it use like the GPS and it's like, oh, Gene, I know you like barbecue. There's a great barbecue joint on the next block. You should go check it out.
You could enable that. Yeah, that's an enableable thing.
It's crazy. But again, we all know that AIs do not think, and that's still something that most people misconstrue.
They don't have to think. The whole point of it, as far as I'm concerned, is an AI is simply an always-on search filter for all the knowledge that's encapsulated in theoretically human history, but realistically
written history anyway.
TV shows of the 20th century.
Well, I asked it for because after No Agenda drops, I usually post, something on Twitter. And this time for yesterday's show, I'm like, I was in ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, give me a Carnival Barker style to, announce or to get people to listen to this to this No Agenda show called Bedtime Hygiene. And it gave me step right up, ladies and gentlemen. And those of you still deciding, do not miss this spectacle. Live from Gitmo Nations. Okay, so it knows Gitmo. And I didn't feed it anything about No Agenda, didn't give it any URLs. I'm like, the latest episode of No Agenda titled Bedtime Hygiene will scrub your mind cleaner than a tinfoil hat after a fluoride rinse. Are you waking up properly? Are you sleeping on the lies they sell you? Adam and John are here with the only deconstruction strong enough to disinfect your brain from the propaganda lurking in your nightly news cycle. Big Pharma wants you sedated. The media wants you hypnotized. The elites want you tucked in at night so they can fleece you while you snore, but fear not. My fellow knights and dames, No Agenda delivers a no-hold-barred breakdown of the world's insanity, wrapped in hilarity and insight sharper than a carbon steel blade.
You did this for a cover image?
I just did this for a Twitter post, X post, when Adam reposted, so I had some text, rather than just hitting quote, retweet.
I gotta find this. This is fascinating stuff.
Don't sleep on this one. It says, tune in now before the M5M drowns it out with white noise. No jingles, no sponsors, no agenda, except the truth. Value for value, baby. You know the drill. Download Bedtime Hygiene now because clean minds sleep better. And this was a very simple prompt. Just like, give me a Carnival Barker selling the latest episode of No Agenda. And it gave along with, if you find it on X, with all of the social media little emojis with it. I mean, it's hilarious. Cotton Gin said it was too long. Well, of course it was too long. Oh, I like the matching suits there. Here, you just sent me a picture of Vlad along with. Is that supposed to be Zelensky?
Uh-huh.
And they're matching blue Adidas suits. Is that what they're going to do to get
That's
peace?
the negotiations.
We're
yes.
gonna all wear the same color suit just so everybody feels better.
Exactly.
But
so I saw your ad for your show.
The last one. I mean, again, the most for the Unrelenting would be the one you like that because it was the Unrelenting.
It's a reply though. It's not a post, right?
So
yes. It's in the wrong. Okay, let me look at through replies. I was looking at posts.
It would be a retweet.
Unrelenting, step right up, ladies and germs.
This is what it created, including the emojis.
What's with the stupid emojis? Jesus, those are horrible.
I know, but that's what this. I'm telling you, I just thought it was hilarious that this is what the AI came up with.
Wow, that is over the top. Yes. I would say.
Oh yeah,
would you not say?
I would. One, it was like way too long, but two, it understood enough about No Agenda to throw the Knights and Dames bit in. It knew Adam and John. It knew, no jingles, no sponsors, no agenda. It knew value for value. And it threw all of those things in that, again, I understand what it's doing. And it's looking for, I guess, what people have written about No Agenda in the past. If you actually ask it for, very specific, these latest AI models that are allegedly like, it has deep thinking. It's like it doesn't have deep thinking or deep reasoning. I mean, it may try to, as Adam Curry points out, more parlor tricks.
Right.
To give you what you want. But it all depends on what you want out of the AI. I do believe that No Agenda is also correct in the fact that AI scraping things off the internet, whether it's images or text or video, is going to get more and more polluted with its own hallucinatory crap. Because the more you see online that is already AI created.
Yeah. I've sent Adam some hallucinations that I've gotten AI to do to show him that stuff.
Do you send him like the 5-hour audio when you just put two AIs talking to each other?
No, I didn't do that. Yeah,
model collapse. That's a good word for it. Usually back in our day, Cotton Gin, that was just when the coked up supermodel didn't eat for 4 days, and then that was model collapse. I mean, but we have a hot babe holding up a sign that says support Unrelenting. I mean, you think more people would. You can boost right now if you're listening to the show. I mean, CSB did. So, I mean, if CSB is going to outboost you, you really kind of have to feel like less of a man or woman, really. If you can't come in with at least 4,000 sats.
Is that kind of the going sat rate?
Well, he came in with 3989. So I think if you have to beat CSB, you want to get 4,000 or so. It looks like the Bitcoin is moving up slightly again today. I noticed the Get Alby once again updated itself.
I don't have the not showing up here. What is Bitcoin at right now? I don't have that thing running.
Let's see, I don't have I just see what's in my account, so I know if it's going up or down, but I can look 84,795. So just short of 85,000.
Gotcha.
But I had to do that the other day. I'll have to ask Adam to open up some more channels on the inbound to my node because I keep filling it up, man. And there's nothing worse than filling it up because then I'm like, oh shit, I got to move Satoshi's off. So I took all of Larry's sats and moved them over to Bitcoin again. I'm like, I should just take all of Gene's sats and put them into something more better, like Dogecoin or something.
What? Dogecoin. You're the only one that's trying to push that crap.
I only bought Sheeb. I've never bought Doge. But I just figured there was a $50 gamble. And at one point, I was dumb because at one point it was up. My $50 went up to about 150, 175. Now it's back down to 74. But I just fully expected that to go instantaneously to zero, and it didn't. I guess I should just pull. I mean, it's already a win. I mean, I made 50% on it as of right now. I should just put it into a real coin again. That's all the game, though.
Yep. That is true.
But
so what do you do?
I don't know. what we should ask people, like, what should we do? Crypto, or we should do a show with, all the donations, do a split the pot. Is that gambling technically?
I think so.
Like, come on in. If you send us some sats, we're going to give somebody half the value of all the sats we get.
We're going to do half the value.
Well, you just do half. So if you bring in 100,000 sats, you're like, somebody's going to get 50,000 sats. Boom.
It's pretty wild.
We just need to automate it all.
Well, or just ask for PayPal.
I hear "Hey baby" in my ear. That means JCD saying "Hey baby" tells me we have a boost.
There you go.
But you're lucky you don't hear it. So
I know I'm definitely lucky.
Like, you can be hearing JCD say "Hey baby."
Mm-hmm.
Cotton Gin 4001 taking up the gauntlet. He did not want to be lesser than CSB.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Cotton Gin. He's the guy that does the ISO bot over in the No Agenda troll room. All sorts of fun little scripts that he writes. Can get you right there into trouble. When Adam Curry tells you how many people are listening, that's Cotton Gin. The troll count right now, we have 65 people. Wow, what happened, Cotton Gin? We dropped off, although it was one particular, looks like Dolores dropped off like a stone. We went from 81 people to like 65 in like 2 minutes. Don't know why.
I just sent you a tune.
Okay.
Can you play it?
That'll take off the download.
No, you don't have to download Diddly Squad. You can play it right out of Signal.
But then nobody will hear it.
Oh, no. Yeah, you want to download it.
See, let me just put it on my desktop. And then I'll put it in the rack here. Because is this more AI goodness that you've been working on?
Uh-huh.
Getting better. And this is interesting because I've noticed more and more artists that are popping up on the usual sites that you can tell are not real.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, gents, and souls on the fence, don't turn away. Live from Gitmo Nation, it's the reckoning day. Bedtime hygiene on the air tonight.
Nice.
Scrub your mind clean, get the tinfoil bright. Are you waking right or dreaming their lies? The news cycle spins with a sedative guy.
Oh, yeah.
Adam and John, they're tearing it down. Deconstructing the noise from this clown show town. Big pharma's pills, media spell. The leaves pull the strings while you're dreaming so well. Don't sleep, don't.
Yeah, music pollution, no doubt about it. You just put that post in, right? That was
I did it in the last 5 minutes while we were talking. But the key thing here is you can finally have some music that you can legally play.
Yeah, well, this is for all the shows.
Because I own the copyright on it.
All the shows that do all this, all the AI stuff, they're like, no, it learned from my song, so it's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're never going to prove any of that.
You know what? I've already gotten copyright stroked on YouTube.
You've been copyright stroked
from AI music. And this is one thing I'm not a fan of, is this, like, they don't know what to do. And so right now, at least, you're able to submit AI music to YouTube for media detection. And then if anybody, plays anything that sounds like you, they're going to get struck.
Which they all sound alike, so it's
they do, and I feel like this is a very dangerous precedent. But right now they're allowing it. The only, obviously downside is you got to pay money for every song you submit. But you could still do it right now, and then do a takedown on Taylor Swift's videos for using something that sounds like you.
Sounds too much like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the voices that they're using for the singers have gotten much better.
Yeah, they are improving. Yeah.
They're not exactly fantastic, but they're more than passable. I mean, there's something that I've noticed watching a bunch of the Hallmark movies, which we understand what level Hallmark movies are. There is a lot of music that sounds a lot like Taylor Swift in style and voice, but you know it's not. The AI is going to be the way to fill that hole. So if you have a low budget production and you're like, wow, man, I'd love a song that sounds like Taylor Swift for my credits. You're just going to punch that into an AI and it's going to give you one that's close enough.
Super cheap. That's the beauty of it. Because in the past, I've had to, I didn't order them. I approved the orders, but basically order songs written that sounded like somebody's particular style. Like we're doing a corporate media event and we want to have music that sounds like John Mellencamp, but with our corporate words, that kind of thing.
Right.
And those typically will cost about $5,000 to $10,000 to have somebody write and then do a one performance of it. So you've got a recorded version. And then if you really want to, use it a lot, you'll probably hire a band to perform it and do a better version than the guy who actually wrote it. But it was always somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 for a custom tune like that. Well, now, why bother? You can just have AI do it.
We have for things like bumpers coming in and out of your show.
Yeah.
I mean, you realize, the quality maybe matters at some point, but not everybody is Rush Limbaugh, where every time I hear that Pretender song, man, you got to think of Rush.
Yeah.
So it's just having something that is a recognizable
audio hook.
Right.
Exactly. That's all that matters.
It's like, write me a 20-second little hook.
We'll talk about how bad the AI sounds. And by people, I mean Adam Curry. But
wow.
Well, he has multiple times. And my point is that these aren't written for audiophiles. These, frankly, like most music, let's face it, are written for somebody who is only half or quarter paying attention while they're doing other things and probably has had some alcohol already.
Well,
so if you're telling me that the fake Joan Jett music sounds so much worse than the real Joan Jett, well, you're the only guy out there listening to Joan Jett without being inebriated and grinding with some chick at a dance and barely hearing the music, mostly just hearing the bass.
Yeah, Joan Jett's going out on tour with Billy Idol now.
I know, that's why I mentioned it. Yes.
Billy Idol.
Exactly. And she's not looking great.
No, she's
Billy
not.
Idol actually looks surprisingly good for...
He's buff.
Like, he never used to look great back in the 80s.
Because he was on heroin.
Yeah, exactly. So heroin works, apparently.
Now he's not on heroin and he's buff and he's like, his autobiography was fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it was pretty clear that he realized there's no way in hell he should be alive. So he's making full use and advantage of still being around, which is nice. Right. Nice to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, if the music's in the background, you're like, okay, just kind of add it in. Nobody's really paying any attention to what it says. You're just kind of, it's there. You're not paying attention. Nobody really knows. Nobody really cares. But yeah, the reality is the voices, and this is why I was surprised. I knew something was wrong with JCD's ISOs, and Adam finally figured it out yesterday that 3 months have gone by. So JC, 3 months. That is what? There is 8 shows
a month.
So about 20, 24, 25 shows where all of his ISOs have been generated by AI. And it's funny because Adam was like, wow, these audio clips always sound so crisp and clear. How do you get such clear audio clips? They're fake.
That's hilarious.
They're all AI and that they're saying the things. And because I'm like, wow, they're always saying things like, well, now that was a show, something that really worked as an end of show ISO. And it's like, how does JCD do it? It's like, it's all AI that he was creating. And comic strip blogger just came in with 1229. He says, I just napped. Oh, I guess you gotta up yours then, Cotton Gin. 1229 from CSB. He wants to be top dog, top Pomeranian on this particular
top Pomeranian
show. But that just shows you that especially the female voices.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even catch that they were AI with JCD's ISOs. I was just thinking they all sound like they're the same one. So like, what podcast would this be? Where did this come from? But if you need a female voice just saying things, then this is the way to do it. Normally, when we did the intro for Planet Rage, I had our buddy John Fletcher do the music and the screaming of Planet Rage because he screams better than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But then rather than at the beginning of the show, like I always did with Bemrose, like I do here with like, oh, here you're Unrelenting, Darren and Gene, rather than doing that bit, we had Dame Jennifer do the, Larry Bleidner and Darren O'Neill, here are your hosts, So that way we don't have to do that, but we had to go find, an actual human person with a good voice to record it for us. Now, no need. It's all AI. You just go punch it right in.
Well, it is all AI, but also having a third person who's not on the show introduce the people on the show is so retro.
I know.
Nobody does that anymore.
It's like the Tonight Show.
Yeah. Well,
Cotton
no,
Gin.
even before, way before then, even.
The war is on. Cotton Gin comes in with 1776, the American boost. Once again, putting CSB in his rear view mirror.
What is that? Like a buck?
Probably just about a little over 1776. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a war, though, Gene. This is like a trade war.
Yeah. So we talk a little bit about politics, probably, huh?
I mean, I guess we have a good 20 minutes left. We should probably use them for something.
So Canada doubled down.
Because they're idiots.
But that aside, they doubled down. They
1776 right now is exactly $1.50.
Oh, that's good. $1.50. So they basically said, oh, you thought Trudeau was bad?
Right.
Hold our glass.
Until the United States is like, okay, we'll just stop doing any business with you whatsoever, and you will all die in Canada.
Well, we're not going to do that. But what we will do is bankrupt the hell out of them,
right?
Which is hilarious because their economy is like 90% reliant on the U.S. And if I remember correctly, and this from a while ago, but it's probably still true, is that over 90% of the Canadian population is within 50 miles of the U.S. border.
Yeah, they're not, it's kind of like the population in Alaska.
People live in cities that are much further away.
Yeah, Toronto, the one, you're right over the border of the United States are where their largest cities are.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is it's kind of like the Ukraine thing. We only really need to push our borders of north.
Well, look, I'm not going to make you reread it because Ben already read it on the other podcast I do, but I posted when they elected that guy, I immediately posted that because you remember the one of the first lines that came up was he had suggested that Canada needs to get nukes from France. And so the U.S. will take it seriously. And I said, it is absolutely crossing a red line to have Canada have nuclear weapons. This is something the United States will not and cannot stand for.
Well, yeah, it's like bringing nukes into Ukraine. What do you think's going to happen?
And such a threat of nuclear weapons within 50 miles of the border of the United States is fully unacceptable, and Trump should immediately start a special military operation to denazify Canada, who presents real, genuine Nazis with their highest honors and awards in Canada, and to ensure that there are never nuclear weapons in Canada and that Canada never joins NATO. I thought it was hilarious when I wrote it.
But now it's like the Babylon Bee. As you're just predicting what's going to happen.
I know.
And at the time you wrote it, where you have the A-Team theme going on in the background. Bum, 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 bum.
No, I had the South Park Blame Canada song playing.
Oh, that's even better.
Mm-hmm.
Blame Canada. See, now that's show tunes right there.
Yeah, that's definitely show tunes.
That's a hell of a show tune.
Yeah, it's pretty gay. So the point is they're doubling down. They went all in. Trump has basically said any further tariffs by Canada in retaliation to U.S. tariffs will be met by a doubling of U.S. tariffs. Now, with U.S. tariffs in place, it's going to be painful for Canada. They're going to suffer, but they're not going to completely go to anarchy. With a doubling of U.S. tariffs, meaning we're going to have 50 to 100% tariffs on all Canadian products, Canada's done. There is literally nothing they can do at that level because over half their trade is with America, and if over half their trade doubles in price,
right,
they will literally have to be paying us to take their products off of them.
Well, and this is something that
they will have zero profit. They'll all be losing money.
Is not understanding the United States. This is, you have a mom and pop coffee shop in a town, and then the big bad Starbucks or whoever moves in, and right off the bat, what they do is they start selling their products for half price. Why? Not because they're making money, but because they can. They have enough power to be able to take the hit for 6 months or whatever it takes to put the other place out of business. I don't think Canada really understands what they're dealing with when you have Donald Trump for another 3.5 years. Like, this is not going to go away anytime soon. He is not the kind of guy that's going to blink. So you're only causing more pain to your own constituency. Maybe Canada needs yet another election.
Well, I mean, this is the other issue. Is like, what does the word election mean in Canada, actually?
I don't know. More punches thrown. 1,033 stats from CSB who says Canada will join EU. Problem solved. And wow, he is punching back at Cotton Gin. This is a battle royale. Yeah, Canada joining the European Union. Are they going to have a really long bridge, CSB? Maybe the bridge to Canada where they do a tunnel, like a big channel.
Could be.
From Canada to just go into it. Can you imagine that? You go into a tunnel there off the islands and like northeastern Canada, and then you just show up in Ireland. So just a really long tunnel.
Well, I think from Nova Scotia, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump, isn't it?
Maybe. Although Elon could give us the automated vehicles. They could be like speeding, like 1,000-mile-an-hour vehicles.
I don't know. I'll tell you one thing about X that I've sort of changed my usage. I used to basically just try and quote everything, whether it's a video and I'm sending out there or whether I, saw something somebody posted on X. I would just do a retweet quote thing, whatever it's called. Re-X. I would re-X it.
It's all fucked up ever since they moved it from Twitter because they never gave us a name for what it is.
No, they didn't. Not really. So that never resulted in any kind of real engagement, I've noticed. And I did that for like 2 years. And recently, instead of doing that, I'm like, screw that. I'm just going to start focusing on replying to people. So somebody posts something, I just reply to it. I don't repost it for all the people that are following me to see it. I just reply to it in the chain. And that results in way more people who are not no agenda people, who don't follow me, actually seeing my replies, which are always hilarious, because I try to kind of be sarcastic on Twitter.
No, you?
I know. It's shocking.
Yeah, it is. It's shocking.
Big surprise. So I think that's kind of been my, I guess, revision of my strategy for a better one is to not bother just posting more stuff for people that it would show up on their timelines if they're following me, and focus more on just replying to things other people have posted. And that's actually, I think, generating more people following me who don't even know what No Agenda is.
What's No Agenda?
See, you're one of them.
I only go to dig.com.
No Agenda, that would be the company that keeps you employed.
Oh, yes. Well, but not really.
Well, more than that.
Did you know dig.com is rebooting?
I did not. I used to be a big fan of Dig in their first couple of years, and then it kind of waned after that. But do we need Dig back? Is that a thing?
I don't know what they're going to actually do, but Kevin Rose bought it back, and he's working with the guy from Reddit that Reddit got rid of, like one of the lead programmers of the original Reddit.
Because that's all it was. It's basically Reddit without having to register.
You know, and the Reddit guy said they were really afraid. I forget, it was like if they were going to do like subcategories or something, like we were afraid Dig was going to do this before we did, because then Dig would have been. Yeah. They figured that Dig would have won the war, because at one point that was the big thing, to Dig versus Reddit. Reddit won out.
Well, Dig gave up, I feel. Dig just kind of, they went from their core mission of just letting people vote on things that ought to rise to the top, and started doing more advertising placements and like topics no one gave a shit about. We're still making it on there. It was no longer, hey, let things drift up naturally to something if it's interesting to everybody, you know. So maybe this new version they'll redo it to be more like the old Dig.
Maybe they figured out the way to do it now. I mean, you've got people that know what they're doing. If it's just a very interesting to me that it's the Reddit guys along with Kevin Rose that, you know, it should at least be interesting.
Kevin Rose got so fucking lucky on that.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing, because he was not some great financial genius, nor was he a great
dark
developer.
tipper.
Yeah, exactly. He was basically just a computer nerd with no college education, and he was doing some shit that Brian Brushwood ended up doing eventually, just like crazy shit.
Right.
And then when he got bought out by Google, and not only did he get a huge, like millions in stock when they bought his company, so you know, a large portion of that was in Google stock, if I remember correctly. But then he basically got the job of picking companies that Google gets to invest in.
Right, the venture capital.
And essentially at a Google, you know, funded venture capital. And
then he was putting his own money in.
Piece of that action.
Right.
He didn't even need to put it, like he was getting a piece of all the deals that he picked. And so he became a 100 millionaire, or whatever the term is for a guy with over 100 million, literally in a crazy short amount of time. But he looks old now. His hair's white, his beard's white. He looks like he's in his 50s, and he isn't. He was always younger than me.
Yeah, and the Omega Project's asking if they're bringing back Dig Nation. They've already done 11 episodes. It's back. Find it on YouTube or your favorite podcasting.
Yeah, and it was always the show of like, okay, I get Kevin Rose, but his buddy Alex Albrecht, who seemed to have, you know, I liked his take on a lot of things, but he was this pretend Hollywood actor guy. Like he never actually had any real parts.
He was the Dell guy in that one commercial. You're getting a Dell, dude.
Okay. Yes,
and he was on the screensavers briefly, according to Kevin on one of the latest episodes.
He was basically just a buddy who was a nobody. And he would drink beer with Kevin. That would be about it.
And I guess what his claim to fame was, he bought Bitcoin early and held it. So I guess that's why he's financially secure at this point, is that he was one of the few that actually put money in early.
Hey, man, we all bought Bitcoin early. Some of us just lost it.
Right. See, he didn't. He kept it. And
fucker kept his old computer around, apparently.
Probably.
The rest of us threw him away.
Got to copy that hard drive, and then the hard drive, and then the hard drive. And I do want to say the final punch, I believe, has just been thrown in this war. Cotton Gin coming in with 17,769 Satoshis. That's $15 worth of sats.
Wow. Holy shit. Big player.
He says, take that, CSB.
CSB can't afford that. This is like America versus Europe now.
Hey, Cotton Gin, did you notice the album art from the last episode of Unrelenting? If not, I think you'll like it. There was a little Easter egg in there. as if predicting exactly what was going to happen. I thought it was a good piece of art too, though, with the computer monitor with our likenesses on it. It's a beautiful piece of art. If you haven't seen it, you should go take a look at it. But yeah, Dig is back. They just did a live show out of South by Southwest. And that's when they announced that they had gotten the dig.com domain back. So there's big things to come.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder how much they paid for that.
Probably not a ton. It was worth a lot recently. I mean, with a few years ago, I don't think it was worth that much. Now it had pretty much fallen into a state of nobody using it, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the concept that people were actually going to vote and you were going to see how many people voted it up. It's like very Reddit-like, but it was just news stories and things like that. Very bizarre, but it's good to have them back. And you're right. Albrecht doesn't look that much older. Kevin looks quite a bit older. And he's one of these guys that, like you, I think he's really into all of the health stuff. He's always trying different things. The
two of us are super healthy. Exactly.
I mean, you try all the health stuff. I didn't say it was working.
I do. No, I do subscribe to Kevin's health newsletter.
Yes, there are dig things to come. And Kevin Rose said when he was having a surgery not that long, or I don't know how long ago it was.
Vasectomy?
Maybe. Where his house burned down in the fire. That was sad.
What?
Yeah, he was one of the homes that burned.
One of the trillionaire homes?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Which is putting him through a whole different, Zen view of life that, how much.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. I mean, I get it. Losing all your shit's not easy.
But he said
you realize what's important.
Yes. Oh, Elvis, yeah, your priorities, I'm sure, change in an instant.
Yeah, you start wanting to have a cement house.
But when he was having surgery and he found, a cement house would be great in that area, that they were using, the anesthesiologist was using the stuff that killed Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, can you just push it slowly?
Mm-hmm.
Because normally they just boom and you're right. You count back from 10 and you're out. He's like, the guy did. And he's like, it just was a wild euphoric feeling. Like, yeah, but that's because that's how people get hooked on it.
Mm-hmm.
So the next time, really, this the kind of strange guy that Kevin Rose is. Can you imagine being in with the anesthesiologist and you're like, can you push it slow? I want to enjoy this. Come on.
Well, yes, I can, because the anesthesiologist that's the anesthesiologist for a guy like Kevin Rose is also the same guy that does every other billionaire.
Right, true. He's like,
and then like, hey,
I'll just
when you push that in, can you spike that with some ketamine?
I'll just add a 0 to your bill. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh, you don't have to add a 0. He'll take care of that for you.
Just add it right on the bill. It's part of the service.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
That's true.
The Podfather's looking to. There's going to be a podcasting 2.0 after us today.
Oh, they're doing it today. Okay, nice.
This show is live. Adam, do not fear. Gene is still in his underwear watching RT, getting ready for a big report.
I'm getting my news on the ground. I'm not watching RT.
He's getting calls from Vladimir during the show. It's crazy.
That's right.
Just to see what's going on. Do you predict by our next show that this will all be settled, or do you think that is Russia going to play hardball enough that this is going to take a long time? Are you expecting a very quick and easy solution here?
It's going to take a while.
The end result will be what is the sticking point for Russia at this point?
Well, there's two of them. I think one is any kind of a truce has to also include a stoppage of the supplying of Ukraine.
That would make sense.
It makes no sense to do a truce where the other side just rearms and gets more equipment and people.
Now, does Russia have
dumb.
a good view of the United States going in to do work in Ukraine? Is that kind of like hey, as long as these folks are here, everybody is going to do what they said they were going to do?
No, of course not. The U.S. is at the whim of the current administration, and that changes every 4 years.
Well, but you
So
have at least
at
3 years.
most, At most, the only thing that Russia can get out of this is 3 years.
Do you think Trump's going to give Vlad a cut of these mineral rights? Is that part of the deal? Like, hey, don't stop going in, and we'll. It could just be as simple as we'll start buying your fuel again.
Okay, so there's two issues here. One is, first of all, the majority of the useful minerals are actually on the Russian side of the front.
Oops.
So this whole Ukraine mineral, Zelensky's talking about Ukrainian minerals as though Ukraine has the same footprint that it did 5 years ago, or actually before 2014, because he's also including Crimea in there. None of that is Ukraine and will never be Ukraine. That the people in those regions have voted to be part of Russia. So that is Russia. That's not Ukraine. So how much does Ukraine that is in the current borders have? Some, for sure, but not as much as they think they do, and probably not as much as Americans think they do. And there's zero chance of pushing Russia back because it's part of Russia. It's the same thing as Crimea. They had elections. The elections returns were overwhelmingly in support of becoming part of Russia. Because if you remember the history, and we talked about this at the very start of the war 3 years ago, it's amazing we've been doing the show that long. And I did a big, long soliloquy on it, that what happened was that the reason Russia got involved was because those eastern provinces were constantly being bombarded by the Ukrainian military. There was a civil war going on effectively there because they refused to accept the rigged election that happened that was part of the Hillary color revolutions during the Obama years. And so the western parts of Ukraine were happy with that results of that revolution. The further east you went in Ukraine, the less people liked it because they were closer to Russia, not just geographically, but mentally as well. So bottom line is, I think they'll come up with a solution here, but I don't think it's going to be next week.